Chapter 3, Princeton. At Princeton, many of the students came from rich families. Most were white. By college, many had traveled all over the world. They went skiing, owned fancy cars, and wore expensive clothes. They felt right at home on the beautiful college campus, with its fancy wood-paneled dining halls and old stone buildings. But Princeton wanted more students from different backgrounds. They were trying to bring in smart, hard-working students like Sonia Sotomayor. It was part of a program called Affirmative Action. So what is Affirmative Action? Affirmative Action is a program that helps minorities get ahead in school and find work. Minorities being groups of people that make up a smaller proportion of the population, most notably people of color. It started in the United States in the 1960s. It was a way to make up for racial discrimination. If two people applied for a job, most of the time the white person would be chosen over the black one. Affirmative Action tried to change that. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy signed a law that required anyone working for the government to take positive action, affirmative action, to make sure minorities could get government jobs. When minorities applied for a job or applied for college, they were given extra consideration because they were in a minority. That way, people who had not been as lucky growing up were given a better chance to succeed. Princeton gave Sonia a full scholarship. That meant she didn't have to pay for school. Without the scholarship, she could have never afforded to be at Princeton. Sonia has said many times over the years that she was grateful for affirmative action. It helped her get into a top school and achieve her dreams. Soon enough, Sonia had a group of friends. Her roommates, Dolores, was Mexican-American. They hung out together on campus at the Third World Center. It was a center for minority students. Most of the people Sonia met there were interested in politics and justice. They wanted to make the world a better place. Years later, First Lady Michelle Obama would go to Princeton. She spent much of her time at the Third World Center, too. Sonia didn't get good grades at first. To her surprise, she got a C on the first paper she wrote for a history class. So she did what she had done before. She asked for help. Her professor explained how to write more clearly and put forth a convincing argument on paper. Other professors helped too. They told her she was mixing Spanish grammar into English sentences. So in the summer after her freshman year, Sonia bought some English grammar books. She studied them hard. After that, her grades improved. Meanwhile, Sonia and Kevin were still a couple. Kevin had gone off to a different college. He came to visit Sonia on the weekends. Even though she was getting good grades now, Sonia didn't always feel like she fit in. It was hard being one of the only a handful of Hispanics on campus. Feeling like an outsider made Sonia determined to change things at Princeton. One thing Sonia noticed was that Princeton had no Hispanic professors, not one. Even the Spanish classes weren't taught by Hispanic people. She and her friends from the Third World Center wrote letters to the people in charge of Princeton. Then she wrote to the U.S. government. She sent in a complaint. Her complaint was that Princeton was being unfair to minorities. It worked! After that, Princeton hired a Hispanic person for an important job, as Assistant Dean of Student Affairs. By the time Sonia was ready to graduate, she was known as a leader, someone who took charge, and her grades were excellent. Yet as graduation grew closer, Sonia realized she still had a lot to learn. One day, Sonia walked to her dorm room. As she explained years later in a book about her life, Sonia found her friend Felice sitting there. Felice looked embarrassed. She had seen a letter in Sonia's wastebasket. It was an invitation to join a very special club called Phi Beta Kappa. The club was only for the very top students. At Princeton, that meant the best of the best. Sonia had thrown the letter away because she had never heard of Phi Beta Kappa. Sonia took Felice's advice. She answered the invitation and got a Phi Beta Kappa key, a symbol of the club's honor. In June of 1976, Sonia graduated from Princeton. Besides Phi Beta Kappa, she received other honors as well. She was the co-winner of the Pine Prize, the highest award a senior at Princeton could receive. Finishing college was really just the start of her education, however. Sonia realized she would keep on learning for the rest of her life.